On this episode of Garage Talk, we look at the direction of IndyCar and what are they doing?
Yeah, it's questionable. We'll talk a little bit more about the NASCAR weekend, the playoffs, Kyle Larson, and some big news in Formula One
And then we also bring up some Star Wars.
and some Star Trek. So hey, live long and prosper, everybody.
So check it out on our new episode of Garage Talk.
Welcome to another episode of FR Racing's Garage Talk. I'm DJ Flook.
I'm Eric Richardson.
And Eric Richardson of the Winston Cup, apparently.
Yep.
That is so
class.
cool. Do you know how long have you had that shirt?
I don't know.
I mean,
Probably
that's
mid
based,
90s.
but yeah, based on the age of that with the sponsors and the Winston Cup. So the Winston Cup went away in what? Oh, 04?
And it's the kind of original Rainbow Warrior paint scheme.
Yeah.
So
That's got a very 1998 feel to it.
it's probably mid 90s to that 98
Because
range.
Gordon was Coca-Cola a long time ago. He was a Coca-Cola driver, and I think, let me see. I got an old Gordon car over here. Let's see. Was he
I always remember him with Pepsi.
Yeah, he was a Coca-Cola driver like when he first got there. So in like 95 or so.
It's funny, I have one small car right here of his.
Yeah, in 95 or so, he was a Coca-Cola driver, and then he went to Pepsi and was Pepsi the rest of his career. So
Oftentimes driving the Pepsi car too.
this is a 95, but there's no Coke or Pepsi logo on this that I can see. I'm looking.
I
I
have a
got it.
feeling this is probably around 98.
Yeah, it would be my
That's
guess
when
because
I really got into NASCAR, but he's also started as a Gordon fan since his inaugural win with Brickyard.
you got the 90s, you got some of these sponsors are funny on here. You look at these older cars and some of these companies that have been gone for a long time, and it's like
Oh yeah.
RCA. I mean, I guess RCA is technically still around, but not the same company that it once was. Yeah, I mean, this is
And
his
where
98 car that I keep on my desk.
I make a mess here?
Yeah, this is the 50th anniversary of NASCAR. It's got the 50th anniversary logo on the sides here.
And mine does not, but it's the 99 car actually.
Yeah, I've got three more up here. I got a Pepsi car. I've got probably a 98, and then the one where it switched from the rainbow scheme to the flames, which would have been what, 2000, 2001 or so?
Yeah. Now I need to get it in the mail. Not quite Jeff Gordon, but you will have this coming.
Yeah, to match my RC car.
As you can see.
Oh yeah. Yeah, to match the
Horizon
RC.
logo Indy victory car, actually.
I think this might be what this was modeled after. I mean, he's driven this scheme a couple of times. And of course, the Horizon Hobbies sold the things. Of course, they're gonna, no, let's put his Loves car. No, we're putting the Horizon Hobby. Anyway, so throw back to. I mean, you can see in the corner here. I got the collectibles. You got the Cartoon Network. You can't really see that. You got the Hut Strickland Circuit City. You got he had a Ford Thunderbird, and then he went over to a Chevy the following year. I got some Bill Elliott
Once
McDonald's
I finally
cars.
can put up my Heilig Myers and Aquafresh and some of those.
It's funny you see these companies, and like Heilig Myers hasn't been around. They went bankrupt a long time ago. But
Had
some
one
of
of the
these
greatest
other
drivers ever in that car.
Buckshot Jones,
Dick Trickle.
Dick Trickle. That's right. That's right. There was a Reddit post about him today. Dick Trickle in the 80s. Yeah, in my collection up here, you've got you got the Terry Labonte Kellogg's car, iconic. I mean, he drove that scheme for years.
I always liked his Tony the Tiger too. The blue and orange one.
Oh, the blue. Yeah, yeah. I remember that. Ricky Rudd in the Tide car. Got a Tony Stewart Home Depot car up there. And of course, the Mark Martin Viagra car.
It's funny. I still have Tony Stewart's autograph from when he ran IndyCar before he was
I've
Tony
got
Stewart.
his Menards, one of his Menards cars from like 97 or so, 97, 98, something like that, actually in the bottom corner over here next to a Buddy Lazier, that purple scheme. That was an awesome looking car.
I like that car with the neon yellow on it.
Yeah, yeah, you got the purple with the neon yellow. That's in the museum. His winner in 96 was it? Yeah, it was 96.
Yeah.
It was in the museum, but I think this one's was the 97. I got
I'm excited. We are just a few months away from the opening of the museum again.
yeah,
It's slated April of 25.
I actually may have to make a trip back to the Midwest next year.
Yeah,
For
I'll be
what?
making a trip once it's open and I'm back down in Indiana. I'll be
Actually,
stopping.
that's what we should do. Like, we should coordinate the visit. That way, we do it, do it together. But I mean, I'm not going to be there till September, so the initial rush will wear off. But yeah, I have to. I'm probably going to be going to a wedding next year, and I think my parents would be very upset if I flew to the Midwest and then didn't visit them. So it's like, okay, so I guess I'll go see my parents, and then
Yeah, we
we'll
should figure that out and do a little GT social media live.
live. We got a live show in person. It'll be the first one ever.
See if they'll allow us.
Oh, do it
We've
at the
got
museum.
no filming.
That'd be fun to do it at the museum. Oh man, we gotta make some phone calls after they open.
Hey, is
Oh,
this a possibility?
so,
Tell us no if it is or if it isn't. Like, that's fine.
so we were late getting started recording tonight because I was going downstairs to grab my usual show beer. My wife starts screaming because she saw a scorpion in the house. And then she stopped and realized it wasn't a scorpion, it was a lizard. And it's, they move quickly. If you catch out of the corner of your eye, you could think it's a scorpion. If you've never been to Arizona, a lot of the areas we have lizards everywhere, and they're down, they're like 2 inches long, little small things. And then there's these ones that occasionally I'll see running on our property that are like, 6, 7, 8 inches long, maybe a little bit bigger if you count the full tail size. And I mean, they're just like squirrels to the Midwest. You see squirrels and rabbits everywhere. We've got lizards. So occasionally one gets into the house and you gotta trap it in the corner. I mean, they're completely harmless, but you gotta
Oh, yeah,
trap
I
it in the
understand.
corner and you just pick it up and drop it, put it in a little cup, walk it outside and let it go. And I didn't find
Whenever
it.
I'm,
It's downstairs. It's hiding out downstairs somewhere right now.
you'll find it.
I'll find it at some point.
Be like Rapunzel and Tangled and have a little friend.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I said, it's harmless. If it was a scorpion, yeah, I'd be a little bit more.
Yeah.
There'd be a little more urgency to get it out of the house. But
It's
knock
kind
on
of
wood, we
whenever I'm
didn't.
in Florida, I go dragon hunting. That's what one of my athletes called it, and it's just stuck ever since. Like, all right, where are the dragons?
The dragons. Uh, yeah. So anyway, coming up this weekend, Friday night, actually, you're gonna do a 6-hour endurance race.
Yeah, well, I actually have two teams out running. The first is going to be Ian Miller and Hunter Hughes, and be fun to see how they do. Then the second team will be myself and Lucas Puntrelli from the IRWS.
Yeah, we pulled. Lucas was looking at wanting to do some endurance racing, and we pulled him in. So,
Yeah, this will be his first kind of foray into endurance.
and I need to figure out with Taka if we're going to broadcast this or not. My Friday.
More than likely, we're going to be in two different splits.
Yeah, that's the tricky part. Is we might. We were looking. I've been talking to Taka a little bit about our endurance broadcast strategy, because running a full 12-hour stream is exhausting, and I don't, he did that pretty much 12 hours minus the occasional break at the Petit Le Mans last year. And you can't do that. You can't sit for 12 hours. It's just not, or 10 hours. It was 10 hours, but still 10 hours is tough. And I mean, frankly, after about 7 hours, it's like the middle of the night and we're just pulling out the liquor and
Hey, that made it entertaining for, was it that one or another one?
no, that was the Petit Le Mans. We were about hour 7. We pulled out the bourbon and we were just like drinking bourbon and just
I was exhausted at that point after driving.
yeah, I called it. Yeah, it was like 3 a.m. my time when that ended, and yeah, it was about 2 a.m. So it would have been like 4 a.m. Eastern time where he was. So I'm just like, man.
I wonder if something like this maybe just pop in, give updates every hour and a half or something,
Yeah, I was thinking
and
like,
then go live that last hour.
well, you got that, but the other thing too is like you look at back in the day of just network television. And the Indy, we've it's still hard to believe the Indy 500 was not broadcasted live, green flag to checker until like the 80s.
Yeah, it's wild.
I just like I was like they just started doing that like right before the two of us were born. And it doesn't feel like it was that recent. But what they would do before they would tape delay and show it later. But the other thing that they would do early on in television is they do the ABC Wide World of Sports, and they do like this hour-long broadcast that just kind of highlighted the key parts of the race and they showed the exciting parts. And at the end of the hour, they'd show the checkered flag and the milk celebration, and that was that. And just like, maybe for our endurance, I mean, I think for Daytona, we kind of have to do the 24 hours.
Yeah,
And
that's
that's
kind of the
that's
granddaddy of endurance racing.
that's become
Well,
yeah. Well,
maybe
I
number
mean,
two if you
well,
want to
yeah,
say Le Mans.
it's number one as far as official iRacing special events goes. Uh, but it's like maybe we do something like that where instead of walking away and let it run with nobody there, maybe we just run it for an hour or hour and a half or whatever we there and we got to go. We cut the broadcasts and Taka comes in or something and Taka starts a new stream up and we'll call it part 2 and just do these, maybe it's 45 minutes here, maybe it's an hour and a half here. Yeah, and that way, there's commentary, it's not just watching silence. And I think that would probably affect the how tolerable it is to watch the event, knowing that it's not just AI director cycling around and nobody
I think
there.
having a schedule so that way anybody who comes across it or wants to follow along, they kind of know when to tune in.
Yeah.
It's maybe a little bit of a schedule behind it, but maybe not a bad idea.
It's
Then for
funny.
the
Last
short
year
ones,
with the last 90 minutes or so of Daytona, Taka and I, this was not planned. We literally sit down at our desks at exactly the same time. And I put on my headset. Taka's in the broadcast booth already. I'm in the broadcast booth, but I was muted. And then he starts talking, and I'm just like, hey, good morning. Like, I was about to do the introduction, and he beat me to it by about 10 seconds. And that was just pure coincidence, but that was really funny. So, we've got a lot of exciting stuff that we're very close to being able to roll out regarding some broadcasting, some special events. We just got a few more little things to work on and some,
as we get to the new year, we're gonna be turning another corner and
yeah, it's
some fun stuff coming up.
time to step it up to the next level. So, we just, we're keep taking that growth, but we want to do it in a methodical way that we don't stretch ourselves too thin.
Yep.
And give people opportunities that want to come in and broadcast. And and the key thing too is have that bench ready, that if somebody can't make it a certain week, that it's not panic and I got to back out of the race to go do the broadcasting. We have a bench we can go to and say, hey. So you're looking to get into iRacing broadcast, get in touch with us. We'll train you up. If this is your first time in, that's fine. You got to get your start somewhere. we'll phase you in, and we'll get you up to speed. We'll train you. We've got some experienced crew. With Trevor on Wednesday, and Taka now is in his almost through his second season of Indy Racing World Series. He's really come along. That was kind of like, hey, we need you to like broadcast this because we're in a kind of a tight spot here. And he's like, okay. So
Yeah, he's been doing a great job, and
yeah, he's really has. So
hard to believe we're down to 4 races to go in that
I
series.
know it is kind of crazy. With Long Beach coming up next week.
Yep. Got Ian Miller leading the points there, coming off of another win. Actually got unfortunate and wrecked, but was able to battle back and took the W.
I was unfortunate twice.
Yeah,
Both
I need to
times
go
out of
back and watch
but
those.
both times out of turn two. It just there's no hard feelings. It's like I'm not gonna get upset at a racing. The cat is back.
Another guest appearance.
Anyway, I'm not gonna get upset at a racing incident ever. Like it happens. Like the people that get like, oh man, you give me no space. Like, look, we're racing here. We're not, this isn't. I don't know. I don't know where I was going with that, but like, there's no reason to get upset at racing incidents. You're fighting for a spot. Maybe I could have given Derek a little bit more room. Maybe Derek shouldn't have made the 3 wide in turn 2 on lap 1.
Yeah, I
There's
was taking
fault.
out on the low side on that one.
There's fault on both parties there, and you go into these official races and you got these guys screaming at people and calling them idiots and stuff. Like, dude,
Why are you doing 3 wide at this point? Well,
it,
I had huge momentum, and if I didn't, I'm getting run over.
yeah, it's like, look, it's racing, man. We're all amateurs. You're not as good as you think you are.
No.
One, and two, there was something you could have done to avoid that, or maybe not avoid it, but lower the chances of it being an incident. It's a learning experience for everyone. So just
Yeah,
like,
back out a little bit
just
earlier.
shut
Just
up, people.
see it's
Just race.
coming. Ease up.
Like if you want to get upset at somebody who goes and intentionally wrecks somebody or does, fine. Like protest them. Tell them, well, you can't tell them you're protesting because that's a protestable offense. But like if someone goes and intentionally wrecks somebody because they're just being a jerk, like report them. Like whatever. I mean, it's people get upset. It happens. It's natural human emotion, but go back and look at the replay.
Yep. Usually when you look
It,
at it, you see it from a different perspective, and
the
usually changes your
person,
mind.
the person you're calling out wasn't their fault. You got the wrong car number, or the net code incident that was out of everybody's control. It's just look at the replay, please.
I remember
That's
one
I think
race.
that's our next shirt. Look at the replay.
I remember one race. Some guy tried yelling at me because he was like, "You're 60 miles an hour slower going into turn 1 than everybody else," and I ran into you. Like, well, it's on you to not run into me.
Yeah.
But it's also a cup car at Michigan, so I'm going to end up with a huge run on exit.
Yeah.
It's
Like
like, dude, I think I know what I'm doing here.
it's
Yeah, I
just
ended up with a unfortunate. I was running second, pits open, but the pace car was still just a touch behind us, and we went in. It's like, you passed the pace car. Penalty. Then trying to get into
yeah.
pit road, I
Eh,
cooked it, and
I had a couple cases where we were under caution and somebody ducked into the pits and it's like, you need to stay behind. I'm like, they're in the pits. Like they've already crossed the commitment line. Like uh, anyway, that's iRacing. It's not perfect. It's good. It's not perfect.
yeah, it would have been fine if they actually hadn't opened the pits yet because the field wasn't joined
Bunched
up.
up, yeah.
But they opened it, and we took it.
So after yesterday, there's been much talk, rumors of IndyCar. Kyle Larson is tested at Phoenix and in IndyCar. There's rumors of a postseason test at Phoenix sometime, and Richmond. Do you see with the current car and the current setup any chance at a decent race at Phoenix in real life?
I think it could be fun, but what they need to figure out is how to get these cars to run in multiple grooves. Iowa went from a great race, then they paved a little bit of it and went to a single groove race, and it was a parade.
That's what they're afraid of, because
We
that's
looked
what previous Phoenix races were.
we looked at the numbers on the show, and passes dropped by 90%. So you can't have that. Milwaukee, kind of the same thing. Restarts were super exciting, but after 5 laps,
It's just,
it
ugh.
was just a parade. I think the big part they need to figure out still a little bit of the aero package
Mhm.
is you just can't quite get enough to get around. So I don't know if that's more power or what. They got to figure out a way to be able to open up a second groove. And I get it. You get multiple groove racing, safety is going to kick up and you're going to see more crashes. But these cars are considerably safer.
Yeah.
And especially if you're running short tracks, you're not going to have the speedway type speeds.
No. And you also too, like, look at Nashville coming up. They haven't been to Nashville in at least a decade. What do they say? There's 3 drivers left that have raced on Nashville in an Indy car.
And you haven't really seen too many races like that since Vegas.
It was Power, Dixon, and Graham Rahal, I think, were the 3.
Yep.
That last race there. But the one of the big things they've added is they actually have a high line practice scheduled for Nashville this weekend.
When they did that at Texas, it made that
made-
race incredible.
It made a huge difference for sure. I mean, it's a bummer we lost Texas. It's like they figured it out after so many
Thank you,
not
Jimmy
so
Johnson.
great. Yeah, yeah, and Jimmy Johnson at Iowa too made some pretty
that was awesome.
pretty ridiculous moves. But and now look at Santino Ferrucci. He is a courageous man in a car.
Yes.
Maybe bordering on crazy, but he created a lot of excitement at Milwaukee, and you're going to see it probably again at Nashville this weekend.
And you'll have the people say, well, you say you want races like this, but when you have that next big crash that injures somebody severely or kills somebody, and then it's like, oh, you're gonna say they never should have done it. But at the end of the day, it's auto racing. It's been around for how many decades now? The drivers
over 100 years now.
The risk. And when they step foot in that car, they understand what could potentially happen and they accept it.
Yeah. I mean,
for years.
But as a series, as a manufacturer, it's your obligation to provide the safest possible, track, race environment, car.
Yeah, and we're seeing some of the safest race cars that have ever touched a track at this point. Look at Romain Grosjean in Bahrain when he goes through a guardrail.
I thought he was dead, and then all of a sudden he just hops out of the car.
Yeah, I mean, look at Ryan Preece and who was it? Josh Berry, upside down, nose first into a wall, but that roof stayed intact and didn't crush. The Indy cars, similar to Formula One, they are not bulletproof, but they are considerably safer since they've updated to the 18.
I mean, look at NASCAR. That first year of the next gen, there were some hard hits.
And drivers suffered from it, but they've made the adjustments.
Yeah.
And you don't hear that anymore.
No, like you don't hear about, you had Kurt Busch basically have a career-ending concussion. It was Pocono, I think. And I remember Kevin Harvick getting into a wreck. He said that was a hard hit. And but yeah, you don't hear that anymore. They fixed it. They took it seriously and they got it fixed, which is great. But
yeah, things have changed a lot over the last 15, 20, 30 years.
Knock on wood, there has not been a NASCAR death since Dale Earnhardt, coming up on almost, we're at 23 plus years now.
So I think they can do a little more. They still have to be smart, because you can't put them on Daytona or Talladega, something crazy like that. That's just
No, that's
That's
suicide.
insane.
That's you're gonna kill the whole field or fans in the process. Um,
But there are plenty of tracks out there. If you can run Indianapolis at 240 plus miles an hour to qualify and 220 in race trim, you can find some other tracks where you're 160, 180 range, especially the flatter ovals.
is Justin Wilson the most recent IndyCar death?
Um, yeah, Sue's just after Dan Weldon.
Yeah, is Weldon was 11. Wilson was like what, 15 or 16 maybe.
And those were highly unique circumstances too.
Yeah, it was just a wrong place at the wrong time with flying debris.
Well, Weldon, yeah, Wilson flying debris, but that probably would have changed now with the
Yeah,
aeroscreen.
2015.
And Dan Weldon, when you go cockpit first into the catch fence and a post, but that was in the old car before they updated to the 12th.
Which was named after him because he did a lot of the safety testing, ironically.
Yep. That's why it's the DW 12th.
Oh man, it's just incredible. I mean, it's
IndyCar says they want a track that they haven't been to,
you're
but
running out of choices.
they've been to everything.
We were saying during the Indy broadcast this week, because we had Taka and then Derek Booker and jumped in with me, and we were talking about Indy with people have said that NASCAR beat IndyCar to Mexico City. And Mark Miles made some comments that are not being well received about Mexico City and Pato O'Ward and his popularity. And there's a lot of people calling for him to get out of here. And
Pato
honestly,
O'Ward is a very well-known driver in Mexico, and maybe even more so than Daniel Suarez.
yeah.
Both have very loyal followings,
Yeah.
and they would actually rival Checo.
There was a pitch this week that Penske should, he can keep the Motor Speedway, but sell the series.
I know that was actually one of the contentions of the NASCAR owners. They did not want the France family to be able to have charters to field cars because of conflict of interest.
Yeah.
And they cited, look at IndyCar. You have the series owner and owning a team.
And a very,
No
very
matter
good
what you
team that's
do,
won the past two Indy 500s that is competing for it, potentially, probably not, but competing for a title again.
and no matter what you do, there's always going to be question marks and scrutiny. Did they get punished as much as another team would have? Did they get off just a little bit easier?
It is a bad look. There's no doubt about it. I mean, the other thing too is, Roger Penske's not a young guy.
No. I think we see it go to Tim Cindric here probably in the next 5 years. Penske family will still own it, but Cindric's more or less calling the shots now in IndyCar anyway.
He's calling the shots for the team anyway. Roger Penske is 87 years old.
The one track I could maybe see IndyCar going to, and I don't know how it would even work, IRP.
That'd be too small.
I think it's too small. But it's in their backyard.
I feel that's too small.
Who knows? Because what Mark Miles has said, we're not going back to a track that we've already been to.
Yeah, what are you gonna do? You're gonna bring them out and put them on dirt at Kokomo Speedway? You're gonna take.
We're gonna do Resurrect Nazareth.
There was an article.
Rockingham, like, come on.
Yeah, there's an article of like Mark Miles wants to go somewhere new. It's like, there's not much to pick from, and it lists through. It's like, here's every track that IndyCar has been to and why they stopped going there. And it's like, they went to Walt Disney World. That track got closed. They went to Charlotte. Then they had a wreck that killed fans. That ended that. It's like you had Phoenix. The racing wasn't good, and the attendance was bad. The attendance was bad, and I've said this on the broadcast this week, is the attendance was bad because they put zero effort into local promotion for the race. Honestly, like when NASCAR comes to town, when NASCAR comes to Phoenix, you know it. There are billboards everywhere. There's commercials everywhere. They are hyping it. There's social media ads being run down your throat of come out to the NASCAR race. It sells out. And
Well,
it's
and that's
not all
why
out. And it's not
Indianapolis
all
draws.
out of town visitors. But the IndyCar race comes in. It's like I think I remember seeing like one billboard on the highway in Scottsdale.
The only race they advertise remotely is the Indy 500. That stuff is everywhere. It's months long prepping for it. The
But
Grand Prix, you
who's
know nothing about it.
responsible? Who's responsible for the promotion though? I mean, is it the track? Is it IndyCar? Is that I don't know the answer to that.
I think they all play a huge part. Is Indianapolis Motor Speedway is putting stuff out all over the place.
Yeah.
IndyCar is doing stuff. I think it's the Speedway that was doing the fan days and trying to get the word out. Then they have the Olympic trials for swimming were in Indianapolis. They had an IndyCar painted up. They do all sorts of stuff to center the 500. If they put even a quarter of what they do for that race into every other race, you will see sold out stands.
But the problem too is like some of the places they go are not ideal.
Yeah, Portland,
Like
buddy went.
nobody went.
Milwaukee hardly attended.
It was okay, but it was still the the big one. Like look at Barber for example. That is out in the middle of nowhere, Alabama.
Yeah, I've looked at stopping by and yeah, it's not close to anything.
Like I mean Talladega. Okay, Talladega is not near. Like it's closer to like Birmingham, I think. Birmingham,
It's,
Mobile. No, Birmingham,
it's out in the middle
Birmingham.
of nowhere.
Yeah, but it's only like it's not a bad drive from Atlanta. Like people would fly into
No,
Atlanta, they drive out to Talladega.
we drove down to Talladega from Evansville, but it is one gigantic party Saturday night.
Yeah.
The fact that anybody gets to the stands on Sunday, I'm mildly impressed.
But that they don't have to bring a giant like paddy wagon bus to arrest everybody in the parking lot.
There's no arresting of anybody down there. Like you got to be doing some crazy stuff because what we saw down there, yeah, there's no arrest being made. Basically anything goes.
Yeah, your Talladega is 48 miles from downtown Birmingham. So it's like it's not like it's I mean it's in the middle of nowhere, but it's still like there's something close by. Now if we look at
Yeah, we
Barber.
camped out on the side of the highway at Talladega.
Oh, wow, never mind. I stand corrected. Barber is only 18 miles from Birmingham. I thought it was like in the corner, tucked in the corner. All right, I am wrong. Okay, so there's no excuse. Like if people are coming into Birmingham and
Here's the thing, no,
they can
nobody
go
goes to Birmingham to go visit Birmingham.
no. It's like you pass through there on the way to Florida when you're driving from the north.
Yeah, it's a pass through city. Not to speak ill of Birmingham, but that unfortunately that's what it is.
Yeah, if you drive from Atlanta to Barber, it's only 135 miles.
Yeah,
100 miles. Yeah, it's 100 miles from
it's
Atlanta.
the IndyCar marketing. Why in the
Yeah,
world can you get a ticket for the Indy 500 for $85, but you go to Iowa and it's 160 or 175 this year? Oh, you have a concert before and after the race.
Well, you have concerts at Indy too, like
for a race that lasts for literally an hour and a half.
it's just their marketing, like their social media was awful.
You get in a car day for $10.
It's getting better. Their marketing and promotion is just still just awful. I mean, and the thing is, it's a great product. It's a lot of fun. It's exciting racing a lot of the time.
And the drivers connect with the fans. There's access to them every race they go to. Our good friend Andy Amendola is doing an event with Joseph Newgarden that's open to the public for
He'll be
free.
coming up on the show here soon. We were working on scheduling with him, but
If you're listening to this and you're in Nashville,
we'll say
check it
hi to
out
him.
with Red Racer Books. Go say hi to Andy and possibly Joseph Newgarden.
Yeah.
They're doing some fun stuff for the kids there. Be awesome.
Where else does IndyCar go? Yeah, St. Petersburg. We heard somebody who lived in St. Petersburg for years, and they said they don't market anything locally. Like,
US
there's no
Thermal
reason
Club.
why there's a race that they close off a chunk of your downtown for the race, and like the locals don't know about it until they start closing off the roads. And then they're mad because the roads are closed off.
Yeah, when Chicago starts setting up for NASCAR, you know NASCAR's coming.
Long Beach is like, Long Beach has the IMSA weekend as well, so it's you got a bigger event there that turns out decently well. But yeah, I mean,
It
outside of
doesn't
Indy and Long
help
Beach, they
either
got
when you
nothing.
start in March and then you take a month off.
That hurts too. And then like their stopgap is sending people to a country club in Palm Springs.
Yeah, and what they just announced they're going back to the streets of Detroit. But so much of it too, you have these street races, there's no room for spectators.
Nope. And there's barely any room for cars, like for this glorified General Motors advertisement.
Yeah, going back to the streets of Detroit, terrible. Go to Belle Isle. Great race, good track.
Drivers love it. Fans love it.
Yeah, you have places to
unique.
watch.
I mean, we watched a pace car get wrecked at Belle Isle years ago.
That they're back the weekend after the 500. The Grand Prix, it's coming off of break, and the hype is to the 500, not the Grand Prix.
That's just
Like,
it's
let's
just
get
a
the Grand Prix
sideshow.
done.
Like, it's just like another day of qualifying, basically.
Yeah, we can park right outside of turn one and be out of the track and driving home in 10 minutes with no traffic.
What about Laguna Seca?
Good track,
It's
but
a good track. It's hard to tell the attendance there because it's so spread out. Like, there's no like large grouping of people. It's just very widely spread out, and it
I
doesn't
think
look like there's people there, but there are.
if they had the hype machine that Formula One had and actually had the setups that the Formula One racetracks go to, the actual road courses, they have grandstand seating at the major hairpin turns, the S's, and exciting spots.
Formula One has three things going for them. One is the star power. Alonso, Max Verstappen, Lewis Hamilton. Like, you ask the average
They
person who
market them.
knows you ask the average person who knows very little about racing, they're probably going to know one of those three names, probably Lewis Hamilton, more than likely.
Hamilton or Verstappen because he's the current winner.
So they've got star power. They promote their stars. Two, the production value of an F1 race is second to none.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, they can take a absolutely boring event that Max Verstappen won by 30 seconds, but because of the production value and the camera work and the hype and the buildup of the standing start and the anticipation during a formation lap, you get that hype build. You get the dramatic music. You've got the big intro with a continuation of the dramatic music. Like, it's a show. Like, this is not a sporting event. It's a show. Like, they've turned it into a show that people
And when you have people
watch.
that can meme it and just say it, and we're lights out, you know exactly what they're talking about.
I mean, it's right up above my wall.
Yep.
You've got a catchphrase, it's just, and I'm not like Lee Diffie, who covered IndyCar for years. Great announcer. fantastic announcer. And some of the people criticizing him in NASCAR can eat it, as far as I'm concerned.
I think he's
He's
great.
he's great. He's absolutely great. And anyway, I don't understand what he's saying. Like, shut up. Like,
Watch
listen,
Formula One.
let's just
Well,
like, he's not
here's
hard to understand.
here's IndyCar's catchphrase. Is it May yet?
What about the other 8 months you're racing, or
Well, you only raced 15
seven,
times
six
outside of
months?
that. So that's
But
the other thing.
it's
They need
just
more races and they need stuff that can be exciting. Road
they
course racing, we have road course racing. It's Formula One. We want
like
to see these cars in ovals going fast.
and like, okay, keep Long Beach. You got to keep Long Beach. I think that's a great event. I think that's a fun race. But some of these other, like Portland,
I think you can go away from Portland.
I don't. I just watch Portland. I just never get like too amped up about Portland.
I think you can keep St. Pete too as an opener. For an
I
Indy
mean,
fan, it's fun to watch.
yeah, and you kind of have to, because like you go anywhere further north and you could have snow on the ground, and we know those cars do not work well in cold weather.
Or start a little later. That way you don't take a month. You got to build the hype.
Losing Texas was brutal, especially as they were just starting to figure things out there. It's just,
This is where, with Penske owning the series and fielding a defending champion in NASCAR, he needs to find a way to communicate with them to be like, what do we need to do to be able to get back onto these tracks?
well, where do you go? Like, I think Richmond is an obvious choice, especially with Richmond losing some of their NASCAR weekend. They're gonna want to plug that hole. That I
I
think
could
there's
I could
extra
actually see
incentive.
Indy going there too because
Yeah.
of it.
Oh, there's a rumored test coming up here relatively soon. I think Richmond can work, and I think especially with Richmond losing some of their NASCAR weekend, or one of their weekends, they got to take it.
Actually, they ran at New Hampshire. What if they ran Martinsville?
Is there enough room? I should send them to Bristol. No, that would be awful.
Maybe go back to Dover.
Yeah, one of
It's
the
a
reasons.
small enough track, but
Yeah, they didn't get good attendance, which again, like,
it all
poor
goes back into the
marketing.
marketing.
Poor marketing should not be a reason to leave a race. Like, if you have the potential to have a good product, fire your marketing people. Find people who know how to market. Like, go steal somebody from Liberty Media, please. Like, there are marketers out there that know how to do this stuff. And I don't know what it's just like it's almost like they're just content with what they have.
Yeah, and I think two things that hurt them. When they're on an oval, it's a parade. There's no
Yeah.
excitement.
Yeah.
So they need to figure out how to make passing happen. They
Well,
got
I
to
mean,
figure that out somehow.
we're rumored to also be considering a new chassis here in a couple of years as
Mhm.
well.
And
So it's
they,
like, how much development are you going to put into the chassis you're about to retire, allegedly, in what, 28, I think is what they're
well,
targeting.
within a couple years here, now that they've switched to the hybrids, they have another couple hundred horsepower that they can get added to the engines. Is they can go up to about 1,000 horsepower from what I've read, but they'll tune them up incrementally. But then at the road courses, we've already seen the issue in Formula One. It's getting better right now, but when Max is running away, it's like, oh, these races are boring.
Yeah,
There's
it's
going to
like,
be three passes
why am
and
I going to wake? Yeah, like, all I want to see
nothing's
is the
going to happen.
start.
And IndyCar is the same way. There's maybe an early caution, and then you have the last 80 laps that just run green, and the top two just run away from everybody. There's no excitement in those. So they need to find a way to get the racing actually exciting.
Agreed. Anyway, That was not on the agenda for tonight, but it needed to be said.
Yeah, I mean, we're Indy fans. We're gonna watch, but you need to get non-IndyCar fans.
All right. So, other than breaking news, Adrian Newey officially has gone to Aston Martin.
Yeah, kind of a surprise there, but they offered him a very good package that
Very, very good
he
package.
liked, and it wasn't just the money. There was other stuff with it too that was like, okay, I'm in.
So the question now with Lawrence Stroll has just spent a considerable amount of money on a car designer. You have, a legend driving with a living legend, Fernando Alonso, still driving. He's going to hang around for probably a few more years. What do you do about his son?
I think with where they're at, you at least have to give them a chance to score points. If
But
Alonso goes to the front because of the Newey design cars, that Stroll is still running 10th place or a back marker or running into people, you have to replace him.
the the rumors of Stroll, and it's like dad bought a team. Like this is the ultimate pay driver. But the biggest criticism I've heard of him is that he is a talented driver. He has shown flashes that he can be good,
Yeah, he's shown
but
he can drive.
he doesn't put the work in to be great. And the question is, I mean, dad won't fire his son. He'll get reassigned. He'll go do some sports car driving or something and just go put him over there and we'll forget about him. But they've made it clear he wants Max Verstappen to come over as well here whenever they can pry him free from Red Bull. And
If Red Bull keeps going where they are, and if he loses championship and the car just keeps getting worse, he may just be like, fine, I'm out.
I mean, he's sticking around next year. He's under contract. There's not really, I mean, the only open seat is one of the kick seats, I think. But
I think it is at this point.
yeah, he's not going to stick around. I mean, he also too, like, I wonder how much longer he's going to go. He's he had just passed like 200 starts or something like that. And, they said, are you going to be around for 400? He's like, no. No, he's like, I'm well beyond halfway now. Uh,
What else does he have to prove?
I still want him to come race NASCAR. He won't,
The
but
only thing he could do is go after 7. But does
I
he
mean,
want to?
it might get a little harder now. It seemed, at the beginning of this year, it was like, you know what, Max is probably going to win the next 7 in a row. Or he'll get his, let's see, 3-time champion now. Yeah, he'll get 4 or 5 more in a row. And now it's like, McLaren is there, Mercedes is there, Ferrari can be there. It got very interesting when we're sitting here talking about this back in February. You're like, well, this year's gonna suck, and guess what? No, this year hasn't sucked.
It's amazing that they've gone so far backwards after Newey. You would think somebody would have learned something to at least
I mean,
keep
he's
the
still
car.
there. It's not like he left yet.
I wonder how much involvement he's had though because of working on the supercar, and
Yeah, he was on the supercar, so maybe yeah. I don't know.
it's just amazing that they haven't been able to keep up.
I mean, they always fall. It's just didn't expect it to happen this soon or this quickly, for that matter.
Yeah, mid-season.
So yep, we got Formula One this weekend. We got the IndyCar finale. NASCAR's headed to Watkins Glen.
Juan Pablo Montoya is back in.
Yeah, hide your jet dryers.
Yep.
I mean, it's so unfortunate that, like, You know, the man's won the Indy 500 multiple times. He was a good Formula One driver. And people are just like, he crashed into a jet dryer.
Yeah,
That's still the craziest thing I think I've ever seen.
yeah, red flagged race for a little bit on that one.
They were concerned about the integrity of the track. It's just how hot that fire was.
Did we ever find out what happened to Larson?
No.
I heard somewhere that was just the way that he caught the air off of a car, but
Kind of looked that way.
as he kind of jerked left and then it just shot right, almost like he was trying to catch something or that tire went down. But he took a hard hit.
Let's see. Chase Briscoe reveals horrifying details of Kyle Larson crash.
Yeah, he just plowed into him. I don't know if he just couldn't tell where the car was because of the smoke or if the spotters weren't fully on it. It sounded a little back and forth on that.
Larson said, if anything, I was getting tighter and tighter. It just caught me way off guard. I was never once even in that same corner, like loose. And it just started stepping out. I overcorrected and yeah, just overcorrected.
Because the way it snapped on him, you don't see that.
No, that was just shocking. I mean, that was you expect crashes at a lot of places, but that was shocking to see that.
And speaking of Kyle Larson, just announced that he is going to attempt the double again.
Yes.
The difference, however, priority will be given to the Coca-Cola 600
this time. Yeah.
Because if he had not missed that, he would have been the season champion.
Yeah, and he'd be a little higher up in the points.
Missed by 1 point. So that race comes back big because of rain. But it didn't help that rain in Charlotte because he was there, would have gotten in the car and been fine. But since it rained and NASCAR goes, track's almost dry. We're gonna call it.
We're done here. Thanks for coming.
We actually don't want Kyle Larson to get in the car because we need to create some drama.
Yeah, that's it.
And make him sweat.
And they say that NASCAR is all about Hendrick and giving Hendrick the free pass. Yeah. Oh man. So yeah, busy weekend of racing. We've got Nashville on Sunday. You've got, where are they? Formula One.
Azerbaijan.
Baku. Yep.
I feel like that's the Star Wars Baku.
It does feel that. There is something that sounds similar. Oh, and rest in peace, James Earl Jones. You have to.
Yes. Sad news there.
I mean, I get he was 93, but that just seemed like that just came out of nowhere. It's just one day I'm sitting here, I'm working, all of a sudden James Earl Jones dies at age 90. What?
Yeah, I saw that on the breaking news. Oh man. Watching him in Sandlot, voice of Vader, Field of Dreams. Man, great actor. We'll miss him.
And he was the "This is CNN." He also there was a Simpsons bit where he was the voice in one of the characters who he dies. Oh, he's also Mufasa in The Lion King. But yeah, he dies, and then they show him all in the clouds, and he's the character is talking to Lisa Simpson, and then Simba's like, Mufasa comes up, he says something about Simba, and then it's like, Luke, I'm your father. This is CNN. Turns to, guys, stop it. Classic Simpsons right there. James Earl Jones, 93 years old.
Yeah, busy weekend of racing.
My kids are fascinated with Darth Vader right now. They don't want to sit down and watch Star Wars, but they're fascinated by Darth Vader. So I get that.
Oh, let's see.
I have to show them
right here.
There you go. I have to show them, I mean, they're 6, close enough. I was probably 5, 6 or 7 years old when I watched Star Wars for the first time. But that, I tell you what, that end scene from Rogue One, where Vader's like going through the hallway, they're, you know what I'm talking. You've seen the movie, haven't
Mhm.
you? And all of a sudden, like they're trying to run. They've got the Death Star plans. They're running down this hallway, and then you just see this black, and all of a sudden you just see the red saber come on, and just Vader walking through. He's just
I just saw it on social media actually earlier. It just hits differently. It was that same scene that you're just talking about, but
yeah,
to AC/DC Hell's
yeah,
Bells.
Hell's Bells. Yeah, I did see that.
It goes dark and you just hear the dong. It was awesome. Like, yes,
Yeah, I mean
that's
that
perfect.
that right there was probably the most badass Darth Vader scene in any Star Wars thing ever. And there's a pretty strong list of things. And that right there, that was such an awesome scene. I'm like, man, that end of that movie was so good. But yeah, Star Wars, Star Wars, Star Wars, Star Wars. Oh wait, oops, wrong
One.
franchise. Wrong franchise. Live long and prosper, people. There's our
The
intro
classics,
screen.
Leonard Nimoy. You
Anyway,
guys Trekkies or racers? What's going on here?
yeah, I guess. Welcome to our new Star Trek podcast, where we're going to talk about watching Star Trek: The Next Generation, which I'm in the middle of rewatching right now.
And then all the other ones that I don't even know and never watched.
I the thing is, like, I watched all the original series when I was a kid, and I watched a lot of The Next Generation. It was still on when I was a kid, and I moved my parents moved me to the basement, and there was a TV in the room. And I hear my dad coming down the stairs, quick, turn the TV off and act like I'm sleeping. But I'd be watching like syndicated reruns of the Star Trek: The Next Generation. Watch some Voyager, watch a little bit of Deep Space Nine, which I've gone back and watched Deep Space Nine a little bit. And like, you know what? This was a pretty good show. I don't know why I didn't watch it when I was younger, but anyway.
Yeah, didn't really go past Next Generation. The new movies though are really good.
Oh, the J.J. Abrams one. Don't
Mm,
don't don't tell a traditional Star Trek fan that. They'll get upset with you.
no, whatever.
They
I'll
turned it
take the
into a
heat.
they turned it into an action movie, but I mean, you look at some of the stinkers they put out, like Nemesis was really bad. Insurrection was kind of bad. I mean, First Contact was really, really. I mean, this is from. Yep, playing with my toys from the mid-90s. That oh oh it's
Getting the echo through it.
yeah, and watching, people who are listening to this are like, what the hell was that?
You got some people out there like that still lights up. I wish mine did.
Yeah, well, I mean, we got the E here, but I think I pulled this out last week too.
Yeah,
My Enterprise D, Playmates from 1992. Let's see. Still works. Lights still come on. Yeah, this was like my favorite toy as a kid, and this is like one of the only toys that I kept from my childhood, other than some of the Micro Machine stuff. But yeah. Anyway, Star Trek. Yeah, that was not expected on the show tonight, but
been all over the place again. But that's why we call it Garage Talk.
that's what we do, because we have some beers and some liquor and have some fun and chill
Yeah, I
out.
can't really drink beer anymore. It gives me headaches.
You know what? Same here as you go right for the hard liquor. Yeah, I kind of have that
Moonshine
problem.
tonight.
I kind of have that problem with beer too. I'll walk out of it, I'm like, I got a headache after having one beer, and then I'll be like, Jack Daniels, and I'm fine.
Yeah, a couple shots of Jack. Yeah, I'm good. A beer.
Jepson's Malort, All
No,
right, we're gonna wrap for real this time. So tune in next week. We got Long Beach on Tuesday night, and the Xfinity iRacing Wednesday night dash will be going to Indianapolis. And Eric, this Friday, will be competing in the 6-hour IMSA race, the LMP2 class.
As
Good
long as I
luck.
don't put it in the pits for 15 minutes of repairs, I'll be happy.
Yeah, that's 6 hours. It's only 6 hours. It's not like it's 24.
Oh, yeah.
All right, frracingonline.com at frracingonline. Hit that subscribe button. And if you're listening on Spotify, be sure to follow us. And thank you very much. And we will see you next week.
Thanks for tuning in. Take care.